Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight on the program. Let's get you straight into the matter of the Adamawa governorship election, which is now hanging in the balance. We can tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has directed one of his resident electoral commission, the one in charge of Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, to stay away from all activities of the electoral umpire and the election in Adamawa State. Mr. Yunusa Ari, who was a rec for the governorship election in Adamawa State, said controversy on Sunday morning when he announced Ms. Aisha Binani Dahiru, the candidate of the APC, as a winner of the polls, a move that was being criticized as not being within the constitutional purview of the INEC rec to do so, except for the returning officer. INEC has since disowned that act and says the man should stand down and summon him and some officials of the commission to Abuja. But this was the position of INEC earlier today, because we're now waiting the commission to have the meeting so that we can know the position of the commission. Take a listen to the Director of Voter Education and Publicity with INEC, Mr. Victor Aluko.
It's unfortunate that national commissioner was assaulted. 2 national commissioners were actually deployed to Adamawa to oversee the activities there, and it's unbelievable that thugs could assault one of our national commissioners. But we thank God that he is safe. He is back to Abuja now and is recuperating. The commission suspended all activities related to the collation of the supplementary election in Adamawa State, and directed all the officials involved to immediately come to the INEC headquarters today, so that the commission can review the whole thing and take a formal decision. Currently, the national commissioners have been outside Abuja. As you all know, national commissioners went to supervise the supplementary elections in their zones, and so before the end of today, national commissioners will gather in the headquarters. They will return to the headquarters, and once they return, the commission will go into an immediate meeting, and a very important meeting, to consider all the issues related to Adamawa.
Victor Aluko, Director, Voter Education with INEC. Let's get an insight on what is happening and the way forward. We need to get some perspective on exactly what has gone wrong with the Adamawa process and the situation the rec has put himself and some of the officials there. I'm being joined by a former national commissioner with INEC, Dr. Mustafa Lekki. Thank you so much. It's good to see you after such a long time.
That's correct. Thank you, Sharon.
You've suddenly just disappeared from public.
Yeah, I'm still there doing other things which I know how to do best.
You look a bit relaxed, though.
Thank you very much. Yes, thanks. I'm good.
A national commissioner being beaten and a rec doing what has been described as the unbelievable. When you heard this, what came to your mind?
I was quite saddened, really, because this is like extreme. It's not what you expect. I can't remember, historically and during my time at INEC, this kind of things happened, what could possibly happen. But I saw it and I read about it. I saw the pictures, and it's quite saddening to see that happen. I think it's not the best of times, for INEC. Even though I think that there are a lot of good things that have happened in recent time, particularly with this election, but it's really these things are sort of cancelling each other out. You have one good thing and then one bad, terrible thing comes and cancel out the good thing. It's saddening, really.
It's a reputational damage for INEC, isn't it?
It's quite a damage that the commission will have to struggle to dig out of. Clearly. Some may say it's probably self-inflicted. You should have seen this coming, but I don't particularly share that view. What happened at Adamawa? The guy there, the rec, maybe it's a first-time rec, but that's not an excuse. It's a barrister. It's a lawyer, so you should actually know the law more than any other person. And ordinarily, usually, in such an election, you can predict that it's going to be very contentious. because of the high stakes. You have a lady who's, warming up and looking good to take over. You have people who are established and dependent who wants to make sure that doesn't happen. And so INEC should have really gauged it, and I believe they must have gauged it correctly. And ordinarily, you expect INEC to send powerful delegates to help to supervise and stabilize the situation. Not only we have like about 2 national commissioners going there, there'll be additional resident electoral commissioners from neighboring states, even far away states, at least 3 or 4 additional resident electoral commissioners from the state will go there and support, the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa to ensure that the right thing is done. So I don't know. There are details that needs to be heard about this case, clearly.
Let's give the reg a benefit of the doubt. Scenarios that probably could have led him to have, naturally, it's a returning officer of that election that is expected, other than the reg. The only moment where you have an INEC official being a returning officer is at the presidential election, where you have the INEC chairman being the chief returning officer of the presidential election. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the case? What scenario could have prompted the reg to say, I want to announce the result?
Yeah, that is why I'm really, I want to have more details. Because ordinarily in this election, given the nature and the build-up to this particular election in Adamawa, INEC ought to have supported and strengthened the electoral governance in that state for that moment at that time. Meaning that you will have national commissioners will be there. From what I read, there were 2 that were sent there. You have additional resident electoral commissioners to ensure that you have adequate governance manpower in place to ensure that this kind of thing does not happen.
We had 2 that was deployed to Adamawa
national commissioner, but
to work with the rec.
Yeah, ordinarily there will be additional resident
electoral
to assist
because he's an outside. Yeah, he's a standalone.
He's standalone,
in that
so you
sense,
have enough manpower to be able to take to that place to do this. And so there are a lot of things that needs to be heard. Were there more people, and how was he able to overcome, the resistance? The advice.
Whether or not he acted alone.
How could he have acted alone when you have others who are senior, like national commissioners in place? I've done this before. We've gone. I was in Kogi, where national commissioners were there. We had resident commissioners from other states, neighboring areas that supported to do the Kogi election. So they can't overrule the national commissioners who are present. So what happened?
If there is a national commissioner, because there is a national commissioner who, the states are divided under national commissioners.
Who's in charge of that zone.
So, and I assume that one of them was there.
Yes.
2 of them that we understand were deployed. Yes. One was beating, who looked like the rec. Unfortunately, which INEC said is going to take steps to investigate on what happened and act on it. But is it possible that the rec operationally takes charge and the national commissioner support, or it takes orders from the national commissioner, or how does it work?
Well, you have to look at the governance structure, and you must take directive from the national commissioner. When the national commissioner is present, it's his boss. So he consults him, he takes directive from him. So that's why I'm wondering, how did he have the courage to mount up this podium and then make the announcement that is allegedly made, by him, and the national commissioner is there without consultation that he was going to do that and get the okay to do that. And also have his colleagues who are resident electoral commissioner from other states who are also present in the same space, and yet was able to move. Something went on. Now this system to be quite, articulated. He has no right. He's not a returning officer. There might be circumstances in which, you get clearance from your superior authorities to do something which is not ordinary to be done. And in that case, you must have the stakeholders there assigning and agreeing to do it. We had a case like that in Bayelsa when I was national commissioner. That was the first time we did this simultaneous accreditation and voting. It was my election.
That was the scenario that prompted INEC to collapse the two. I remember I was there.
Got them to sign.
We were on the ground together there.
Yeah, right. I remember. We were new, So was at that time.
Your legs were very fresh that time in the water.
But it was historical that I was supervising that election where that was done, and that became the order of the day that now we do both simultaneously. So we got all the stakeholders to buy into it that should happen. And it happened. They wrote to it and we agreed, and we went ahead and did that. So that's not something that was written before then, but then it was agreed that it should be done. It was done. It worked out very well. It's come to stay now as part of the tradition in INEC.
I don't want to dig into what the electoral law says about some of the ramifications of the action of the REC. Some sections proffering almost 3 years imprisonment. There are punishments. to, and you can take charges away from those actions. And you say he's a lawyer and all of these things, perhaps. I mean, I'm wondering, could there be any political pressure that could have led to that? Do you guys have you experienced those kind of possible inducement, political pressure that could have led to this kind of scenario?
Yeah, this is clearly in the realm of speculation because
that's why I said. Because we are now wondering what could have gone wrong.
Nobody is going to own up, to this thing. But through investigation, we find out, what's happened. But clearly, INEC has done the right thing, by immediately putting a stop to this absolute, nonsense. In the sense that the law, the new electoral law allows INEC a window to be able to intervene because of these cases of people being intimidated to declare, results which are not meant to be declared. And so INEC has that opportunity now to make a review. And they've taken advantage of that provision in the new electoral act to make sure that they are doing this by stopping this and say they're going to review it and take necessary steps. So I think they are the right course to do the right thing.
Give us an understanding. You've acted at that level, at the highest level in the commission. So when they summon them, usually what happens in that case? What should we be expecting? What should be happening now internally within INEC?
Well, a panel will be set up. It's not going to be a panel of the whole for now because fact gathering has to take place. They have to make a submission. He'll be charged to explain. He must make a written submission of what happened. Why did he take those steps? And those things have to be done. And then they'll be reviewed. And then the committee that's looking into this, probably the lawyers as well as other, maybe 2 or 3, commissioners, particularly those ones who were there because that's their zone and they were given the mandate to go there and carry out this assignment. So they are responsible, to the commission. And then the report of that committee will come before the national commissioner in the usual, committee of the whole. And then the matters will begin to arise from there.
So the INEC, we assume that the INEC, INEC chairman, we convene the commission's meeting.
Yes.
And usually, what is the quorum to make up that meeting?
Well, there are 12 commissioners, so I think a simple majority will give you the quorum to have that.
It's some kind of
meeting.
Emergency meeting,
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a quorum defined for emergency meeting, but clearly a committee would have been set up to investigate that will bring a report to the commission. And that commission will take the report of that committee. There will be a chairman for that committee that will look into this matter and they present the case that happened. And then matter will happen. Either call him for further discussion, that is the REC in this case, and then consequential action will happen thereafter.
Electoral offenses, we've seen ramifications of that we need to be identified by the court. And there are also criminal ramifications to all of these. Some political parties are already asking that the REC should be arrested. Administratively, what happens in this regard if INEC finds any of its top officials wanted or dereliction of duty? Well,
there's a precedent. I mean, when I was a commissioner, a number of INEC staff were sent to the court. They were prosecuted, and INEC was the one that did the cases and then moved over to the.
They handed them over to the police?
For prosecution.
So it's possible that this man could be handed over to the police?
Absolutely. I can see that happening because it's clearly violated. This is what he has done is almost unheard of in terms of usurping the position which is not yours. You are a lawyer, and then you take over the declaration, and then you start to declare. I've not seen the footage. I've not really seen it.
I mean, we have the footage. Let me just show you. Since you are here, the benefit of for those of our viewers who do not see, let's just go back to a bit. So let's hear that, and let's show our viewers again what really transpired and how Mr. Ari, the role he played.
I respect you as a father.
You cannot.
I respect you as a father. Please don't do this.
You cannot do this.
Please. As a father.
You are not the returning officer.
You are not the returning officer.
Wait for the returning officer. By law.
Oh no. Oh.
You are not the returning officer.
I plead with you with all due respect. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Fear God.
You are not the returning officer.
You are fasting. You are fasting, and Almighty Allah is watching you.
You are not the returning officer. You cannot get this result.
Almighty Allah is watching you.
You cannot be.
Fear Allah.
You cannot.
Fear Allah.
You cannot.
It's unfair.
There's nothing like so. There's nothing.
Fear Allah.
They cannot return.
What are you saying? I just don't remember.
You cannot. No.
I just don't remember.
No.
No. I just don't remember. Let's say God. Let's say God. There is a God.
No, there's nothing like
It's
that.
not fair.
No,
you are
not.
No, it can't happen. This is not fair. You cannot call a result today.
No,
Here and now.
you cannot.
You see, based on
No, you cannot.
based on the
No, okay, so online.
the APC
Yeah.
support the highest vote.
No. How?
Thank you very much.
How?
All right, then, Dr. Lecky, that was what happened.
Saying this live, and like I said, there is no way INEC is not going to go to the bottom of this matter, and they are doing that presently. A number of them were out. I understand that is the typical, procedure. They will be back by today and tomorrow. The committee will have been set up by now looking into this matter to investigate it. And they cannot condone this. It's obvious they are not condoning it because of the swift reaction by making it null and void, and so they are going to play by the rule. Again, like I said, this whole electioneering process this year has been that of excitement, if we put it that way, in terms of a number of contradicting, some very good things and some very bad things. Yeah. Most of the bad things, mostly right there, the narratives are bad, but when you look at some of the things that the Commission had done, at the Beavers, it's an excellent thing. And I voted for the first time for a very long time because I couldn't vote as an umpire. Yeah, on duty. But this time I voted, and my fingerprints and my and I voted very seamlessly. And I think kudos should go to the Commission. For
let's close on this note and very quickly too. So, what do we expect that INEC will collect the remaining of the results from Abuja and announce it from Abuja? Is that likely to be what would happen?
Well, INEC can do that if there is a perceived, perception that the situation in Adamawa will not be conducive enough for it to go back to Adamawa and then declare the result. They can do it anywhere at the headquarters. That is possible. There are many ways in which INEC can, address, this situation. I think probably it would be safer, given what is happening, that the tension is addressed and people can bring back their annoyances.
I just pray that this election is concluded so that there won't be an inconclusive election.
Right. It's an inconclusive election for now, and I believe it will be concluded because the results will be there, and they can always put them back together and collate them and then make a final determination. It's just a pity. The government have done very well, and the INEC in terms of good things that have happened, but these sort of things are just out of the blues, like out of hell, and it needs to be addressed
going forward. Dr. Mustafa Lekki, so good to see you again. A former INEC National Commissioner, and it's good and refreshing to hear your views on some of these issues. Thank you so much indeed. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you, Sean. Anytime.
Thank you so much.